and welcome to ET Garage. Anyone who's been following my channel knows the vet's way down on power and the engine is out and the compression test wasn't too good. And as you can see now, I got this engine totally tore down. And I'm going to go over and show you what I found. And it's one of the strangest looking piston ring wears that I have ever seen. And hold on, we'll go over that. Okay, first we're going to discuss the pistons. The pistons themselves aren't too bad. They do have some scoring, as you can see. And the cylinders aren't too bad, actually, other than some light scoring. And the cylinders have about 2 to 3 thousandths wear on them on the top of the cylinder. And anyway, before I show you more about this, I'm going to show you this piston ring, and hopefully you can see this. Maybe I'll include a picture too. But a piston ring should not wear like this. It wore along the land. You can see where there's now a sharp edge here. This would be the side facing down. So this would be in the piston ring like that. And it's actually wore quite a bit. I don't know if you can see it good in this video or not. I'll try and show a separate picture. But all the pistons, all the top rings of the piston are like this. Every single one. They wore exactly the same. And they're wore right here in this land area where it almost, took a measurable amount off of that ring. I've never seen them wear like that. All the other rings wore fine. Except for two. And I'm just showing you these two pistons. And you can see two of them had broken piston rings. And you can see where, here's the broken piston ring. And you can see where blow-by got past that ring where it was broken. And it didn't score the cylinder, do any damage to the cylinder wall or anything. There's no signs of these butting. If these broke, it probably was due to maybe a detonation or something like that. But it does have the exact same wear as that ring. You can see where there's blow-by on the bottom getting by it. So that was like that for a while. And I doubt these expanded enough to butt, because these are pre-gap piston rings, and anyone who knows pre-gap piston rings, they have usually way too big a gap in them. I can't remember what the gap was, but it was way larger than what it needed to be. That's just the way pre-gap piston rings are, at least every set that I have ever seen. So I was surprised by the wear, and I was surprised that these are broken. This one doesn't, there's a little blow-by there. So this one must have been more recent, where this one looks like it was like that for a while, judging by the blow-by. But there's that, and there's several other things I need to show you. Good news is the bearings and the connecting rods look real good. The bearings look good. The crankshaft looks real good. I'll show you that here in a minute. The heads, those I'll go into. There's some problems with the heads too. So let me move this camera around and I'll show you the crankshaft. Okay, here we have the crankshaft. The bearing surfaces are still in excellent shape. I mean, there is some wear there, but nothing that won't polish out. I'm real happy about that. And same with the connecting rod bearings. Like this is normal wear for a connecting rod bearing. That's pretty good. I got some dirt on them, of course, but that's pretty good for connecting rod bearings, I think. That's about normal. These bearings are soft and they absorb any irregularities. so you don't destroy your crankshaft. So these did their job good. Same with the bearings too, on the main journals. They're good, and what's I consider normal wear. I'm real happy about that. The camshaft, that has its normal wear, and that's looking pretty good. And I'm going to show you something about the camshaft bearing on the front of the block that I found. Also, that's kind of unusual. I'll go into that here shortly when I get out there to the where the block is at. We'll go look at the cylinder heads next. Okay, here we have the cylinder heads, and or one of the cylinder heads. This is off the passenger side. If you look at the combustion chambers, like this one here is the cleanest and going across, and etc. And the number 8 is probably the worst. And if you look at it, you can see. Well, let me move this camera over and I'll focus in closer on it. So just hold on. And you can see, hopefully you guys can see that, where the exhaust valve was definitely leaking and getting exhaust back into the combustion chamber. And the exact same thing goes, and I'll see if I can move that around with the intake valve. And let me show you the valves. And hopefully you guys can see this. But you can see where it was getting combustion gases back into the intake, right along there, where that darker area is. And same with the exhaust too. You can see that's pretty black. So those need to be redone. If I redo them, who knows, I might go aftermarket heads, pop for the aftermarket heads. These are, if you're wondering what heads these are 113 castings. Let me move the camera again. These are 113 castings, or the factory, these are the factory heads that come on the L98. I forgot what year they started using the these castings. There's 2 different aluminum castings on the L98s on the Corvettes. I think the first year was halfway through 86 and 87 and 88, and then and those heads were slightly different. Like this head, if you look, I'll flip it over. There we go. Has D ports, and the earlier aluminum heads didn't have that, and I don't think they had what I refer to as imitation guide plates. These are not guide plates. If you change out your rockers and you go, like I said, a full roller rockers, you cannot use these. You have to use these with self-centering rocker arms. Okay, if you go to a rocker arm that requires a guide plate, you're going to have to remove your studs and replace these guide plates. These are not real guide plates. These are for assembly purposes only. And there's a lot of play in there, and they're not hardened. So if you were to put a non-self-guiding rocker arm, it's going to move all over the place. So nothing to know. And if you look here, you'll see this casting number. And that is, hopefully you can see that, 113 on the end there. That's why they refer to as 113s. These have very small ports. Now you can see I did port these a little bit. All I did was blend these, or gasket match them. But the stock ports, I believe, are 160 or 165 cc. They're very small. And I forgot what the exhausts are, but they're small also. These heads also came on the earlier ZZ4 crate motors. I think the newer ones come with the fast burn heads. But you can see where when I ported them, I also blended the seats, and that was pretty much about all I did. I didn't go crazy with the ports. I might port them more. Like I said, I'm just trying to decide what to do. This motor did make good power when it was fresh. Like I said, it did get me into the 12s. So they're not bad. They already, I believe, 1.9, I think, something, 1.95, I think they are, or something like that on the intake, and 1.5 on the exhaust. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. If I do keep these heads, I'm going to probably go all new pistons, and I'll probably go to a flat top piston. And I'll probably reshape these combustion chambers some more. I did reshape these combustion chambers. If you look at the stock combustion chambers on a stock 113 casting, they're different from what you see here. I opened these up from 58 cc's to 61 cc's. I'll probably, if I do keep them, I'm going to open them up some more, go to a flat top, and some other stuff I'll go into. But that's what these are. These are 113 casting heads. So that was part of the problem. The biggest problem was probably those piston rings as far as the power loss and, of course, the cylinder heads. Now we'll go over to the block and I'll show you what I found wrong. Well, I only found one thing wrong with the block. It's not really the block. It's one of the cam bearings. We'll shoot over there and I'll show you that. Okay, here we are. We're at the front of the block and we're looking at the cam bearing, and hopefully you can see that. I'll zoom in on it. But a big hunk of that cam bearing is missing. I have no idea where it is. I've never found pieces of metal or anything during an oil change or anything like that. And it looks like it's been like that for a while. Didn't do any damage to the cam, so that's really good. Let me show you a few other things. Okay, here we are looking at the bores. And they're actually not bad. And like I said, there's about 2 to 3 thousandths wear up top at the very top of the cylinder. And you can see a number 8. I went and just ran a hone through it. It looks like scoring in there, but you can't feel it with your fingertips, so it's not bad. I could just run a hone through these and order pistons these are already bored out to 4-inch 30 thousandths. And I could just run a hone through it, clean them up, and new pistons and rings, and be good to go. I'm probably going to go to the next size, though. Have them bored and honed to the next size with a torque plate and all that good stuff. Good cylinder sealing. Anyway, let me show you the lifters here. And you can see they're worn. So they're going to get replaced. The rollers are in really good shape. Those are worn. The bores, I actually don't have a bore gauge to check them. I'll have to see. I have bore gauge, but not that small. But I'm not too worried the way the lifters fit. They're not... let me see if I can get a better angle here. Yeah, they're not, there's no play in them. These things have to be held in place by a dog bone, by the way. Dog bone goes like that, and that keeps them from rotating. So this roller is lined up with the camshaft. If it were to get off too much, it'll just self-destruct. These dog bones I'll replace. They're cheap, and these, I believe, are the factory original. You can see the little play there. Which means they got like 243,000 miles or whatever. But anyway, before whether I send this out to get bored over or not and honed, there are things I'm going to do to this block that I should have done when I did the first build. They're not like essential. They're just little racer tricks and stuff to make clean up the lifter valley and basically just blend all these holes in so the oil bleeds down faster out of the valley, stuff like that. It's nothing critical. And same underneath. Let me rotate the block. I don't know if I'm going to do this. Is another trick where you basically put a taper on the bottom of the cylinder. That's going to be tough to do. And what you do there is you're putting a taper, and that's actually to help smooth out airflow as the piston goes up and down. Airflow, air rushes in and out of that cylinder, and basically it's the same as porting a cylinder head, but you're just porting the bottom of the cylinder so the air goes in and out. It's supposed to be like 3 horsepower. That's probably worked better on a high RPM engine a low RPM engine like this because it's tune port, which very rarely sees 5,000 RPM. Probably ain't gonna make much difference. So I don't know if I'm gonna go in there and do that. If I do, I gotta figure out just how I'm gonna do it. Usually, I think they do it with a disc grinder that's real long, has a real long snout on it, I guess you would call. So I don't have one of them. I could go in there with a long deburring tool and do it that way. I'll see. Depends. I'm going to probably add an oil crank scraper to this. If I do, I'll go over that on when I get this, go back to assembly of this motor. I still got to give this a good cleaning. As you can see, still got engine oil all over it and stuff. But, and decide what I want to do with the cylinders. So, one thing I got to do is replace all those cam bearings. If I send it out to have it bored and honed, I'll have them replace the cam bearings. Not too worried about them right now. So I guess I'm gonna end the video here. Now we know why this thing is down so much on power, because of the piston rings mainly and the cylinder heads. So going to sit here and try and make decisions what to buy. There's also, like, I thought about popping for a set of Brodix cylinder heads, the ones I want. I will have to wait to April to get. I would like to get this back on the road by March. Because March is when things start happening in the car world, you know, track days and car shows and all that stuff, and spring's coming. If I order those Brodix heads, it won't be till like April. It also will raise the cost of this rebuild quite a bit. Someone mentioned going a different cam. I might still do that. I don't know. I have a little virtual dyno on my cell phone. It doesn't have the information for a tune port intake, so it can't give the exact figures. But changing to a bigger cam with more duration would only net me about 7 more horsepower, I think it was. Yeah, so 4 to 7 more horsepower, I think it was. And that would move the RPM range up and stuff. I actually like when this motor was fresh, it was great as far as the low end and the mid range, where I spend most of my time. Everybody saying, oh, put big heads, a big cam, and all that stuff. And everyone wants to build a really high horsepower drag motor. I'm just not going to use it. It's just be stupid. I'd be better off just refreshing this motor and spending money on things like suspension and tires and doing events. I'd rather do that and make a bunch of horsepower that's going to break my trans and my differential, which is going to cost me more time and money. So I will contemplate what I'm going to do and get back to you in the next video. So thanks everybody for watching, and God bless.